possibly can't even put a screw in a table or whatever. But if it comes to a business, you know, there's some, they came here with nothing and they are now multi-millionaire.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
Well, first of all,
Yeah, well, actually, I just wanted to start before we get into any of the other...
yeah, no, I don't want to go in there yet. I first want to ask you one question
Sure.
before you ever go in there. You think there is a creator that created everything? That's the first thing.
I think there's something, but I don't know.
Well,
I just don't know.
No, well, I don't know either, but things, you have to remember one thing. Things cannot just come without any creation together. You look at just the sun, for example, and the moon. I don't know if I told you that before. If the sun would be
Yeah, you told me that.
before, everybody would burn. It's too far off. Everybody would be frozen. And with the moon, the moon got the influence in all the tide of the waters. Oh, you know that, do you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Thus the moon is also important that it stays there exactly in where it should be staying to, for the tie going in and tying out.
Yeah.
And that have to, that is very important for the fish and for other things. I can't just explain everything.
It's a perfect system somehow.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. Now, that's the first thing you have to understand before you do anything here. Well, I never thought about it at the time I was young. I tell you that now. It's just now that I start thinking about it. But yeah, how can you something exist without somebody created it?
Well,
Can you really understand that not coming just...
Well, another question is, does it... how can you label it, him or her, somebody?
Well, we're only talking about nobody, we're talking about a creator.
Sure, but what do you... when you say creator, what do you mean there's a man in the sky?
No.
What's your...
apparently the creator is a spirit, according to what's also in the Bible. And Moses, because I'm following a lot of that now, Moses is the only one that met the creator. But he couldn't see
in the burning bush.
He was on top of the mountain. I forgot the name now.
Didn't he talk to to God in the burning bush?
Yeah.
There's an interesting story about that.
Yeah.
Do you want me to tell you?
Yeah. Well, you know that too.
Well, I know the biblical story.
Yeah. Okay.
But there's also I forgot where this came from. Maybe I'll look it up. But there's people who study this scientifically.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm.
And the area where he talked to God.
Yeah.
There's a plant. There's some kind of a plant that if you burn it and inhale it, it's a psychedelic. Do you know what's a psychedelic?
Say it again.
There is a plant that if you burn it and you inhale it, it's a psychedelic, it's a drug.
Ah, I see.
And you hallucinate.
I see.
Right?
Yeah.
Now, they reckon the chances are pretty high that this was the burning bush,
Yeah.
and he was on some kind of psychedelic drug.
Well, it might have still somewhere.
And it's not saying that he was crazy, but can this drug open a pathway to somewhere else where that we can't see with our five senses?
No, well, you
I'm
have
not
to.
sure.
You have to come. You have to also face the fact that he came down that mountain with 2 stones with the 10 Commandments written on by the Lord or by the Creator, and what he created with his finger in the stones.
Yeah, but he could have done that.
Huh?
He could have done that.
No, he didn't. No.
But how do you know he didn't?
Well,
That's another
but
question.
then it's not a matter of how he could done it, but where he would have kept the wisdom to wrote the 10 Commandments. That time there were no 10 Commandments, and that it just came then out fresh air.
Well, we don't know Moses.
Yeah.
You don't know how, this is the thing. There's so many questions.
Yeah.
We don't know how educated was Moses. How educated was he in philosophy? How educated was he about human rights and ethics and all these things? We don't know, Dad.
Yeah, but it's he came down. Dus he went up with empty hands, and he come down with 2 stones. You ever seen that thing? Yeah?
I've never seen them, but I know the story.
It was on the TV. They showed it. And see if you want to.
Hold on, I'll go on.
Yeah, you can put it and Google it.
Yeah. Here we go. So this is an article from the website is called anewunderstanding.org. The title of this says the Bible's Moses was on the Bible's Moses was on DMT, says Hebrew professor.
Say that again? Yeah. Hang on.
You read that.
Yeah,
and then I'll read it to you.
Professor. It's not only possible.
Yeah, I'll read it.
Yeah.
It's not only possible, but plausible, that Moses' legendary encounter with the ever-burning bush, his conversation with Yahweh, and the bestowing of the Torah could have happened to him while he was under the influence of DMT, according to Professor of Cognitive Psychology at the Hebrew University of Jerusalem, Benny Shannon. Do you know what DMT is?
No, it's
a dimethyltryptamine. It's the
drug.
It's a drug, but it's in your brain. And it's released mostly when you're born and when you die, or if you have a near-death experience, or if you take the drug DMT. They also think it's responsible for your dreams. It says, I'll carry on with this article. It seems logical that something was altered in the people's consciousness, explains Shannon. There are other stories in the Bible that mention the use of plants. For example, the tree of knowledge and the good and evil in the Garden of Eden. The use of such substances, most of which fall in our contemporary Western culture under the label drug, has in many traditions been considered sacred. Shannon argues that the acacia tree and the Paganum harmala bush, both native to Negev and Sinai, may have been used in a brew that the Israelites during religious ceremony.
Yeah.
There is also frequent mention of the acacia throughout the Bible, and it was wood from the acacia that was used to construct the Ark of the Covenant. What we know now is that the native acacia trees are particularly high in DMT content, and the Paganum hamala, which is rich in Maui and DMT inhibitor, which allows the DMT compound to be activated orally. The ceremonial potion the Israelites were consuming likely produced experiences very similar to that of ayahuasca.
Yeah. Now, okay, listen. I possibly can agree with that too. But you have to, if you be standing there on a fire bush and is Yahweh instruct you, you had to be, you had to be under drugs. With normal people, you will not be able to understand the way. If you have to meet the Lord of heaven, how you can meet that creation or met that spirit without any with drugs in your body.
The question is, the question is, do you need a drug to communicate with God or other entities? Possibly.
Yeah.
But what's interesting is that this drug, we have it in our brain all the time, just at a very low dose.
Yeah. Does you need it?
Well, yeah.
Even on a low dose.
Yeah.
But I need that. Listen.
I better get you that drug. Maybe you need it.
Listen, mate. I have to use that drug if I had to talk with your mom.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, but it's interesting, you know.
Yeah, that's interesting.
It's very interesting because,
you
know, a long time ago, like I remember I was telling you about that book about, I was going to buy you a book about a guy who studied drugs and religion. Remember I was telling you about it. And there's so many connections with plants or drugs and religion. There's so many connections.
Yeah. We look at John.
Well, that's different.
Yeah, he's also involved in so many drugs all the time.
Yeah, but I think that's a...
Yeah.
You know, I think when... It's more or less abuse. You can't abuse any drug.
Yeah.
You're going to have negative side effects.
Yeah, no.
You know, I'm sure whatever ceremonies they had, it was a ceremony. It was it wasn't every day.
No. But the only question what I want to ask you, you believe if you see all the things in nature, for example, I show you, that's the very thing, then I see those very minuscule, the very small fruit flies on my apples and bananas.
I don't know where they come from.
No, so do I.
I have no idea.
How? There's nobody here. They can make that fly that is just naturally coming out. Now, that's another thing. I would say that I start noticing a lot of things about nature. The same if I sit with my trees there. I got a chair there. You might have seen that. That is
in the corner there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I see the bees. They're coming there and they're sitting on the flowers. But if now they already be in the moment already be very careful now with spraying a thing, because if we got no more bees, we got no more fruit. You know that?
Yeah.
Now
they pollinate everything.
Yeah. How? And then if I sit in the chair and I see all the ants marching, and they're all now exactly in a row, and they're marching on the tree, and they set those sort of they put what that term they put on the leaves that they eat from, Well, there is no human being that can make that.
No.
That is created. Dus you cannot get away from the fact. You first of all have to believe in a creator before you ever start.
But why do you have to believe?
Otherwise, there's no use to read the Bible. Well, you won't use the other things either.
Well, I don't necessarily agree with that.
Well, you don't have to.
I mean, I personally, for me, I mean, I can't say that I believe in God. I believe there's something. I don't know what.
But now listen.
But
don't worry about God.
Yeah, but
talk
just hold
about
on.
in Creator.
Sure, Creator, whatever it is, there could be something out there. I'm not sure, but the fact is, I do think there's truth in the Bible, and there's very valuable stories and valuable values that can be passed on to you. I think that's great, but I don't believe everything in the Bible. And I also you also have to think about I forgot. I was listening to a philosopher. He had a conversation on the Joe Rogan show, Joe Rogan podcast, and he was talking about the way we use language today is a lot different to how they used language before Galileo. Do you remember, you heard about Galileo?
I heard about it, yeah.
So Galileo, he, how do I even explain this? I'm not educated enough to explain this, but pretty much Galileo, he based language and everything on mathematics.
Yeah.
And the way he made science was very descriptive and very like what do you call it? What's the word? The word is not coming to my mind. What's the word? Hold on.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
I understand what you're talking about. Yeah.
Like you take things at face value. Galileo. You take it literally.
Yeah.
Right? This happened at this time on this day. This was the reaction, etc., etc. Everything is literally what happened when you write it down.
Yeah.
Right? Before Galileo came up with all these ways to describe things mathematically and literally, before him, a lot of people, they wrote poetically. They wrote, they tried to make the writing poetic and beautiful.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So it wasn't always literal.
Yeah.
It wasn't always exactly what happened. There's a lot of stories in the Bible that you can't say that are literal. Like Adam and Eve, the story of Adam and Eve. You can't say that's literal.
Well,
it's more poetic. It's more poetic than it is literal.
Yeah, if you believe in a creator, then you have to accept that is true.
But why?
Well, that's the way I feel.
That's the way you feel, but I mean, couldn't you believe in a creator, but then also think that if you're looking at the Bible, they're books from different times, written by different people over a long period of time.
It is. Right? It's a lot of. Listen, that's another thing. But all those people, they're all on drugs. Gifted
with
by the
drugs.
Spirit of the Lord that made them write that.
Sure, but they're still different people,
Yeah,
right? So,
but
but
he,
what my point is, what I'm trying to say is that you could believe in a creator, but you could also look at the Bible and the stories in the Bible and think maybe this story is literal and this story is poetic.
oh,
Because there's so many different versions of the Bible as well. That's another thing.
yeah, but well, it's yeah.
I'm not
How
saying
how you can explain, for example?
I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying it's a different perspective.
Yeah, but you know,
And I'm trying to understand your perspective.
yeah. Well, if you possibly, if you can understand all those things, then you'll be the creator.
Yeah, I must be. I'm God.
Well, you got 2 daughters. You created 2 daughters
Yeah.
with one shot.
With
Just-
one shot.
Yeah. How you explain that?
I don't know, Dad. Just got to be healthy, I guess.
Yeah. But see, the future of the what's happened today, that is here in Matthew's. You seen that? What is that?
Oh, I haven't read.
You want me
anything.
to have a look for you? Yeah.
If you want.
Yeah.
But what's your point?
Well, I say that to tell you that the problems today. Well, according to the programs I'm watching, and speak with a guy with the Jehovah Witness. He is in 30 years been in Jehovah or Lord Witness, and he's studying it, and he's been in 30 years in that type of meetings, and and see the programs on the TV on 2 and 6. What's that? Sometimes not all, but it's 2. That we living in the last, say, days of this earth. Now, what happened today? I've also been reading and been with that guy too. What's happened? The Lord or the Jehovah, he doesn't say in the Bible that people thinking that he will destroy everything. He doesn't. He only will destroy human mankind. They are not what they called people. They are possessed by the devil. They're not using. Well, I'm a sinner too, because we all sinners.
We all make mistakes.
We all yeah, exactly. But you got people that are making mistakes, but you also got people that are absolutely Satan. And Satan, for example, and there's nothing to do with all Catholic people or even, but the Catholic Church is they tell you it's in the Bible that things really prophesied. They are the ones. Satan is.
Well, Satan plays around with little boys, and that's what the Catholic Church does.
Yeah. But in the big picture is what Satan is also, that you got many religious people, many churches and all different ones, but they are a lot of them. They also misleading the people. They're not really.
But misleading how?
Well, by the Catholic Church is one of them. they are misleading people.
So what do you think's the purpose of the Bible then?
Well, the
And
purpose.
what is the
Well,
right?
the purpose of the Bible is that you have to yourself investigate. Don't listen what pastors and people telling you. You investigate for yourself, and that is what you're already doing. What is true and what is not true. And the Bible is, because it is being instigated, or it's being
It's been
written by so many different people.
yeah, and it's
but-
been translated
but
and
in-
changed.
Yes, but even that, it's that if you really investigate that, then you investigate the truth, what is going on today. And people, if that says too, that's in the further down in Matthew and in Luke too, that the Lord doesn't even have to destroy the people will destroy themselves.
So in saying that, do you think that, because this is an interesting thing, and it's actually, there's other religions like Hinduism
Yeah, you get all that one. Yeah.
that have similar warnings,
Yeah, I don't know if they could. I've never been involved in other religions.
but it's quite similar.
That's
The
oh well, they
of-
got
of
something out of here.
God
Everybody.
God of destruction and God of
Yeah,
reincarnation
yeah,
and
yeah.
etc. and etc.
Yeah.
Do you think that it's possible that humankind, just as a species, and the Earth goes through different cycles?
Well,
Like, for example, we're only alive for 80 to 100 years if we're lucky. That's not a
Yeah.
long time,
nah.
right? And
Thank God for that.
yeah. And in terms of
Particularly you had to live with your mom
in terms of
and
our
Poco.
yeah, in terms of our current civilization, I don't know where you want to start counting when it started. If you want to start, what, 12,000 years ago or 2,000 years ago, where you want to start it.
Mm.
But there hasn't been a global catastrophe in
Not yet.
a long time.
No, but
They
you have to look at that way. That is the first time that people now be able to can destroy everything what is on Earth.
Yeah, I've heard.
You
about,
agree with
yeah,
that?
I've heard
No,
about.
yeah, then we got to
Well,
agree.
That's a
Yeah.
fact. That's a fact.
That's a fact.
It's
no?
it's not a belief. It's a fact.
No, it's a fact.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just want to. What I'm
and
trying to get at is
Now
that
listen, what we now get today, the Russians, they reckon that the war, well, they reckon they couldn't, it was on the news, I always watch the news too, they couldn't settle down anything. And it's stated now that there is one thing, if Russia doesn't back off, then there will be war. And they be closely told Putin, don't forget one thing, you'll be also in big trouble. Now, what's happened with the war is, I've seen it at the time of the Second World War, but that time they didn't have the weapons yet. But see, they start small, maybe. And then it get one side start losing, and they can't stand it, and they're getting heavier weapons in.
so it's more of an
You see-
emotional.
Well, let's just see that with Japan, that the Japs could not defeat the Japs. At that time they had the atomic bomb.
The Japs couldn't defeat the Japs.
No, the Yanks could not that time. They defeated, well,
So you
up to they were. Dus they occupied, the Japs occupied quite a few islands, Indonesia and the Philippines. And eventually the Yanks fought them out at all the islands, the Solomons, I think. But then they came on the Japanese mainland. And they would not be able, they said, otherwise it cost at least 1 million American lives because the Japs were so fanatic. And then they said, no, well, they just invented or developed the atomic bomb. And they throwed 1, 2. And if they would not have capitulated, they would have thrown all the cities. They said, that's the only way we get down. And in the second bomb, then eventually, the Japs came round the table and surrendered. Dus here we are. Now, that can happen again, but now on a much bigger scale, because the Japs didn't have the bomb yet that time. But now, the Russians got the bomb. The Yanks got the bomb. There's so many countries that got the bomb now.
Many countries now.
Yeah. And then and if they get, say, they don't want to let Russia start, because if they the Ukraine, and from the Ukraine, they want to see what they want. They want to get Europe. That they want to get Europe under their control.
You think all of Europe?
Yeah.
All of it?
All of it, yeah, yeah.
Well, that's pretty hard.
And maybe not in a way that they occupied every country, but eventually in a way that they can tell the countries what to do, and they had to listen with economics. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's the same thing with China and Taiwan. They cannot listen. If they ever let Taiwan, that the Yanks already told it, and now I've just been hearing also in the news, Britain is got tons of ammunition that's been sent to the Ukraine and other things, for just in case if it breaks out, that they're not defenseless, if you know what I mean. And it's the same with Taiwan. They have also, the Yanks give them the best planes in the world there. They got them. And eventually, if China really puts their whole thing on, they might get it. But then the devastation will be that big. And who knows, that one said, oh, well, you carry on. Then we send, put us, and the atomic bomb now is 10 times or maybe 100 times.
It could be more.
Or more than it was the time in the Japanese. Just imagine. Dus mankind, that's in the Bible too, will destroy themselves. And by the time they're doing so to say, is on the last moment, the Creator will step in to save some of it. But in the meantime, he let everything go, that they can see the evil spirit, for that's what it is.
Well, I think you could call it an evil spirit, or you could call it, I think with humans.
Is that water?
Yeah,
Can I drink it?
Yeah, that's for you.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I got it for you.
Oh, no, I didn't know. I thought it might be, you might have put whiskey in here or something.
I'll get some next time. Yeah, open that.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. You good? You want some more?
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Just a little bit. But,
yeah, what I was going to say with human nature, you know, I think with human nature, there's good and there's bad. And if you stick to the bad side of human nature, this is what happens.
Mm.
Do you know what I mean?
But if you look at the moment, the people that dying, they got no food.
Yeah, but that's another thing. I mean, as a planet, we should be a community helping each other,
Yeah, but
but we don't.
that was last time I remember now. I can't remember now exactly the amount, but they spent so much on war material. If they wouldn't do that, they could see everybody on this planet could have had plenty food, and we have a good life. But all to some people, you look at the multi-billionaires in the States too. You got multi-billionaires, and you got on the other side, you got people, they live in slums.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's crazy.
But I heard, there was actually, hold on. There's a psychologist.
Yeah.
Hold on, psychologist. This is really interesting. Psychologist of the billionaires. Here it is. There's an article by The Guardian. I'm a therapist to the super rich. They are as miserable as Succession makes out. So this is a guy he's a therapist for super rich people.
Yeah, yeah.
And I heard this just the other day, explained to me by a journalist on the internet, on YouTube. Where is it? Here it is. I'll read it to you, and you let me know what you think about this.
No.
If I had $1 for every time I've heard the term first world problems, my bank account would look similar to those of my clients. I work as a psychotherapist, and my specialism is ultra high net worth individuals. I got into working with billionaires by accident. I had one wealthy client who passed my name around to their acquaintances. They are called the 1% for a reason. There are not many of them, and so the circle is tight. Over the years, I have developed a great deal of empathy for those who have far too much. The television program Succession, now in its 3rd season, does such a good job of exploring the kinds of toxic excess my clients struggle with that when my wife is watching it, I have to leave the room. It just feels like work. What could possibly be challenging about being a billionaire, you might ask? Well, what would it be like if you couldn't trust those close to you? Or if you looked at any new person in your life with a deep suspicion? I hear this from my clients all the time. What do they want from me? Or how are they going to manipulate me? Or they are probably only friends with me because of my money. Then there are the struggles with purpose and depression that sets in when you feel like you have no reason to get out of bed. Why bother going to work when the business you have built or inherited runs itself without you now? If all your necessities and much more were covered for the rest of your life, you might struggle with a lack of meaning and ambition too. My clients are often bored with life, and too many times this leads them chasing the next high, chemically or otherwise, to fill that void. Most of the people I see are much more willing to talk about their sex lives or substance misuse problems than their bank accounts. Money is seen as dirty and secret. Money is awkward to talk about. Money is wrapped up in guilt, shame, and fear. There is a perception that money can immunize you against mental health problems when actually I believe that wealth can make you and the people closest to you much more susceptible to them. I see family situations like those in Succession all the time. People like the series lead character Logan Roy, who came from humble beginnings to create an incredibly successful media empire. His entire life has been focused on his business. However, it is evident that he has failed miserably at raising fully functional children. Too many of my clients want to indulge their children, so they never have to suffer what I had to suffer while growing up. But the result is that they prevent their children from experiencing the very things that made them successful: sacrifice, hard work, overcoming failure, and developing resilience.
Yeah.
An overindulged child develops into an entitled adult who has low self-confidence, low self-esteem, and a complete lack of grit.
Yeah.
These very wealthy children start out by going to elite boarding schools and move on to elite universities, developing a language and culture among their own kind. Rarely do they create friendships with non-wealthy people. This can lead to feelings of isolation and being trapped inside a very small bubble. There are very few people in the world whom they can actually relate, which of course leads to a lack of empathy. The next time you watch Succession, see how the Roys interact with their staff and other outside their circle. Notice the awkwardness and the lack of human connection, and how dreadfully they treat each other. It's fascinating and frightening. When one leads a life without consequences for being rude to a waiter or cruel to a sibling, for example, there really is no reason to not do these things. After a while, it becomes normalized and accepted. Living a life without rules isn't good for anyone. Succession is built on the idea of a group of wealthy children vying for who will take the mantle from their father. None of them are able to convince him that they can do it, and that is because they have reached adulthood completely unprepared to take on any responsibility. The wealthy parents I see often, because of their own guilt and shame, are not preparing their children for the challenges of managing their wealth. There is truth in the old adage, shirt sleeves to shirt sleeves in three generations. On numerous occasions, the child of a wealthy family has said to me, "We never talked about money. I don't know how much there is or what I'm supposed to do with it. I don't know how to take care of it. It's all so secret and dirty." I was raised in a small rural Kentucky, I was raised in a small town in rural Kentucky, solidly in the middle class, and it can be very difficult to watch these individuals struggle with the toxicity of excess, isolation, and deep mistrust. Succession is a dramatized version of the world they operate in. It is made for television, and part of its purpose is to give audiences the pleasure of watching the wealthy struggle. But for someone who has worked with them, I know that their challenges are real and profound. What do you think about that? This is from...
No, he's a great... Yeah, you feel that you're be spoiled too? That you didn't know what money was?
Well, not that much. I think it's totally different, because when you look at that perspective, these people are so rich, they don't even talk to anyone else unless they're rich. And if you're up so high and you don't have any empathy or understanding for other people, of course you become a psychopath. You know, you don't have any... If you do something wrong, you get slapped on the hand. You know? I mean, look what's happening in the world. When the US went over to the Middle East, how many innocent people did they kill? They have no consequences. No. I mean, all these super rich people just getting more and more rich. They have no consequences. How can you have any empathy? And personally, for me, I think what was really good for me, I mean, we weren't really rich growing up. I guess we were looked after, and you did your best to give me as many good experiences possible. But I think what was really good, do you remember all those times I went to Fiji?
Oh, yeah. All of my money.
Yeah, but I used to go there every Christmas.
Yeah.
And I used to live...
Yeah, well, I managed it, I said, for your life experience.
Yeah, well...
I wanted to from the beginning. See, John too. Friend, John, I'm not even called Pete. I don't think he's even all up there, and not even Jonathan over there. But you look at, just look at Jonathan, for example. He got $250,000 after the old man died. What he done with it?
You wasted it.
Not only wasting it, he got himself in trouble.
It made his life worse.
He made his life worse, yeah. He drove cars off. That's all he did. You know. And now he is so fucking dumb if it comes to money. He gets some sort of a money now from the government, and he never can manage it. And how many times then he's crying to me to help him with the $20 or $30. And, I get half the time sick of it. I get, I'll give you back the next week. But of course, next week he doesn't got no money next week either.
Sure.
Now, what type of life is that? And then all the blooming things are done for him the time he was young too. Now look at John. Now, John, but that time I was that with his drug business and this all the thing. And then I thought, I stepped out of it. I had enough of it, you know. Cops all the time around. And then I give him 4F. I got the money out of it. I got give Poco that from the money for her to get to buy that place. And I think to myself, I stop out, I get out of it. Because he didn't stop. He had plants growing, marijuana plants, and then how many times I don't want to tell you all about those things. That's just bloody disgusting. And as I gave him eventually, I took my money out, I said, here, get that place on your name and see what you can do. It was an opportunity, if that would have been ever me, because I struggled to get that place in the beginning. If it would have been me, I would have bloody succeeded now. He didn't succeed. He's after, I don't know, at that time, I'm not quite sure what's happened there that time, but it was complete trouble all the time there with the gangs. And I think he lost it, the whole lot. Now, then he was with your mum for a while too, you know that?
Yeah, Mum.
That was after...
She had him as a tenant after house... he was on house arrest at Mum's house.
No,
he was on an ankle
he was
brace.
at that time. He came out of jail and he needed a place for probation, I think, that he was there with his mum. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, that didn't last that long, of course.
With Poco or my mum?
Yeah, he was with your mum too, and he was with Poco too.
Yeah.
That is another time that he was in jail. He was always in trouble with the police. Now, then we work for Anna, then they give him that apartment K. You remember that? That he had that other apartment? Now, same thing happened. Drugs. And then, in the end, then he stayed on the street, got nowhere to go. Now, and I always keep helping, doesn't matter what people doing to me. I don't know if that is a good thing. Because in the end, then I have to, the last time, and go visiting him in jail, supporting him in jail from things that needed money for buying extra things and things. You know what I mean? Just give him every week, give him $50 that he could buy some extra stuff in the jail till he eventually comes out, and then he was on probation again.
Sure. So what's the point?
And well, now I'm hoping that he get himself out of now. But you know, and I'd be always good to him, and to show you, and to Pete too. And I still can't understand the way they treated me.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
If
It's just,
I know it's not right.
it's just,
But if we take what you said as a parallel to the article of what we just read,
yeah,
right? And I think the main thing that this therapist was saying, that in order to build character and in order to become a better person,
yeah,
you have to go through hard times and challenges.
yeah.
And the question is now, do you think that John and Pete and Jonathan,
They all have it too good.
they didn't have enough challenges growing up? Do
Yeah.
you think that's the case?
Yeah, I thought, to me, I'd be too good for him. For all of them.
Sure.
And you was the last one, and I also was.
But what do you think's the difference then? That they all went on a path, that John, Jonathan, and Pete,
Yeah,
they all went on a path where their life kept on getting worse.
yeah, destroy themselves. That's
Yeah,
what it
but
is.
and what do you think's the difference then?
Oh, I don't know. It's.
Do you think I had more challenges than them growing up, or do
Hmm.
you think was it a different experiences that I had?
And I don't know. I'm not really. It's well, John is pretty good lately the last years now. But he knows, possibly hoping that he. And now he's moving out, and he's pretty good to me. I'm not saying he never stand up to me anything like that or anything, but
Yeah, but in terms
he
of
is.
and he in terms of, I think out of all of them, John probably had the most potential
Yeah,
because he's really intelligent,
Yeah, he is.
and
I must say that.
he's an intelligent guy. He's really personable, easy to get along with.
Yeah.
It's a shame that his skill set, whatever he's missing, whether it's whether he missed it growing up in childhood or if it's something he can build now, I don't know.
Yeah.
But there's something missing where he's not able to use those skills or what he has to make his life better than what it could be.
Oh, well. And then your mum, too. I mean,
Mum is, I don't know about
it's to
Mum.
see. I don't want to even talk to her. It's just. But I must say one thing about her. She was always, if it came to supporting you, what she definitely did that time.
Well, she's a good caregiver.
Hey?
To Mum's credit, she's a good caregiver.
Yeah.
If she helps you, then she's gonna rub it in your face that she helped you, and she's, you know what I mean. You're gonna use that as leverage.
But let me come back here to one moment.
Sure.
Again.
Can I give you one quote?
Yeah, give me one quote then.
And this is from, because I want to know what your I don't know if you've heard this quote before. Hard times create strong men. Strong men create good times. Good times create weak men, and weak men create hard times. The quote from a post-apocalyptic novel by the author G. Michael Hopf sums up a stunning, pervasive, cyclical vision of history.
I agree with that too, what he said. Yeah.
Yeah,
I went to a hard time.
you did.
Yeah, a very hard time.
You went through hard times, and hard times create strong men.
Yeah.
And then the strong men create good times.
Yeah.
And now that the times are good, it creates weak men.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
yeah,
after
yeah. No.
after weak men create hard times, and now it's becoming hard times
Yeah.
again.
Well, you never really had any hard time, did you?
I guess it's a matter of perspective.
Yeah.
I think it's a matter of perspective. I mean, growing up with mum is a hard time on its own,
Yeah.
but I didn't know it was a hard time.
Nah.
You know, I didn't have any contrast.
Well,
Yeah, I don't know. It's difficult to say. I mean, going to live in Fiji really helped my perspective on life a lot. You know, living with no electricity, no flush toilet.
oh, did you?
Yeah, no electricity.
Where
No,
was that?
on the farm with Uncle Jay.
Oh, in Fiji.
Yeah, in Fiji.
Oh, yeah, but that's normal then.
Yeah, but I mean, it's normal there.
Yeah.
But for me, going over there and experiencing that for 4 to 8 weeks every year from when I was for about maybe what.
Oh, but that's a good thing to me.
It was a good thing.
Yeah.
And I didn't
You
think.
can see the other side of life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was a good experience. I was still happy there,
Yeah.
playing with my cousins, and I had a good
Yeah.
time. But it really made me think about the contrast of life, because I don't think if you grow up in a society in the Western world and you don't know what it's like to live with nothing,
Yeah.
essentially, you know.
Yeah, and Fiji is not even a word that, if you look at least always had plenty food in Fiji.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
I mean, and they're all very happy people, and
Yeah,
they'll share with each
Yeah,
other.
yeah.
I mean, you can't say that they. I mean, and they grow food on the farm, right?
Yeah.
Very simple food on the farm, but in terms of, I know meat was very expensive.
Yeah. Yeah.
Meat was very
Oh,
expensive.
I don't know about that.
Yeah,
No.
but I mean, yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's a great place to learn about life.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
Oh, well, that was a good lesson for you.
it was a good lesson.
I still want to show
Sure,
you.
please
Here, that one thing here.
carry on.
Better say.
Maybe I'll move this for
Yeah,
you.
move that a little bit.
Hold on a minute.
Yeah. I read every day that things here. It's a war signs. Matthew 24:6. Now, oh yeah. Oh yeah, that's Matthew. Here's a here. That's good too. Yeah. He say, no one can serve two masters. Either he will hate the one and love the other, or he will be devoted to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve both God and money. Now, do not worry. Therefore I tell you, do not worry about your life, what you eat or drink, or about your body. What you will wear is not life more important than food, and the body more important than clothes. Look at the birds of the air. They do not sow or reap or store away in barns, and your heavenly Father feeds them. Are you not much more valuable than they? No, that's one. That's just. But Matthew, you agree with it?
Oh, I do agree with that.
Yeah.
I don't think you can disagree with that.
No, here. Matthew. Oh, the Bible is very.
Yeah, well, there's really valuable things in the Bible.
Yeah. 24/7. 24/6. 24.
I mean, when you say the world is going to end, I don't think...
The world is not going
I
to
feel
end.
like the world as we know it is going to end.
The human mankind will be...
Maybe it's going to restart.
Yeah,
There might be a
but then
refresh.
it will be restarted, I reckon. Then Jesus will come back on earth and start... He will be then the king and become the governor of the whole world. That is what's in the Bible here. But if you see here, see it says here, hang on. Jesus left the temple and was walking away when his disciples came up to him to call his attention to its buildings. Do you see all those things? He asked. I tell you the truth. Not one stone here will be left on another. Everyone will be thrown down. That's already happened.
Everyone will be what?
All the stones will be thrown down. That was from the temple there in his days. Yeah. And as Jesus was sitting on the Mount of Olives, the disciples came to him privately. Tell us, they said, when will this happen, and what will be the sign of your coming, dus he's coming and then, and the end of the age? And then they say, Jesus answered, watch out that no one deceive you, for many will come in my name. See, that's all different religions that come in his name. But he said, watch out. Claiming, there's all the other ones also claiming, from I am the Christ, and will deceive many. You will hear, now here we are, you will hear of wars and rumors of wars, but see to it that you are not alarmed. Such things must happen, but the end is still to come. Nation will rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there will be famines and earthquakes in various places. All those are the beginning of birth pains. Now, you can get for yourself, but you agree with it?
Yeah, I would say I agree with that. But I mean, again, he says the end of the age.
The end of the age, not the end of the
Not
world.
the end of the world.
No,
you
the
know?
end
So,
of the age. Yeah.
I mean, is this... Hold on. I'll just bring this close to you.
Yeah. Oh, you can go further.
Sure, but I mean, again, I don't disagree with that.
No.
I mean, there's a lot of truth in that, where you're going to be deceived.
Yeah. Don't be deceived. Many
we're already being deceived, most people.
We are being deceived.
I think when you... And it's not by religions, but it's by... I mean, when you look at what's happening with... you know, all this vaccination stuff and all these medical companies, big pharma.
Yeah.
Do you think they're telling the truth all the time? Do you think when they can profit so much money?
Well, it's the same as the pills you got now.
Oh, it's a bit different, Dad.
You reckon you'd be deceived on that, spending a lot of money on it?
I don't think it's the same thing. Because this is the difference here. Okay, so I've bought all these supplements, all right? These supplements for my health, and I've done research into them, and I've tried them out, and it was my choice.
Yeah, no, but this may be good, but there is, if you buy those things, it's a lot of profit for companies making.
Sure,
Yeah.
It is, but it's by choice.
Yeah,
It's my choice.
Yeah, of course it is.
The difference is when a government of a nation has all the taxpayers' money, right? They use our tax money, right?
Yeah.
And a company, a big pharma company, like Pfizer or Moderna or whoever you want to call it, they have more money than the country.
Oh, yeah.
Right? They have more money than the country.
Yeah.
And they can influence politicians to do what they want because they have so much money. And then they influence them to mandate it or make it in a way that if you don't follow their rules, you can't live in the society.
Yeah.
Who profits off that?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a difference between having a choice and being coerced.
Oh, yeah.
Or being being put in a direction where
okay. I agree with you.
You know, you have to take something, and not just that, but the price at what they're selling per vaccine to the governments, it's really overpriced.
Yeah.
They're not selling it for $1.
Nah.
You know, it's
But yeah, you have to put it that way. The companies, if you get
their main goal is to make money.
They have to make money to pay
the shareholders.
The cost. There is a lot of cost on people working there, on building costs. Of course, and they want to need the profit, and the profit is for the shareholders. You know, people they invested in the company. Well, that's how a capitalist society works. What is, of course, if it is done
how much money do you think they need to pay all these people?
Well, I don't know. That depends on how many people they got involved in the company. And some companies, of course, they need.
But how much? If you had to...
Well, I wouldn't know.
Because I got the answer here.
I have you.
I just went online.
I wouldn't know. No.
This is from...
Some companies make more than others.
This is from November the 1st. Last updated November the 1st, 2021. So this is from last year, November.
Yeah.
So you're talking about the shareholders and employees and all these things, right?
Yeah.
What do you think's more important? Making money for shareholders and their employees, or making sure that their product is safe for people? What do you think comes first?
Well, the product is safe for people.
Sure, but that's not what's coming first, isn't it? Is it? Do you know? We don't...
Well, I don't think they...
Do you know that?
No, I don't think... If you got a countdown, if they put products there like bread and whatever it is, and if they reckon it is not safe for consumption...
Who decides that?
Well...
I want you to take a guess of how much in the first half of the year of 2021... Pfizer, PFE, and Moderna Inc. mRNA reported collective sales of $17.2 billion for their vaccines. Do you think that's enough money to pay everyone? $17.2 billion. Vaccine.
And what firm is that?
That's the three big ones.
There's a countdown?
No, this is the people selling the vaccines.
I see.
Yeah. Pfizer is scheduled to report earnings Tuesday morning, while Moderna follows on Thursday morning after Johnson & Johnson reported last week more than $500 million in third quarter sales, nearly double the $264 million it collected in the first half.
Yeah. And what about Facebook?
Oh, yeah, but they're not selling vaccines.
They're getting millions of dollars.
Yeah, but they're not selling vaccines. I'm talking about these people selling vaccines. Yeah. It's,
Well, you want to hear the other thing from what
sure.
Luke say here?
Sure, if you want. Well, what do you think about that when they make that much money?
Well, that is only that particular company.
Yeah, it's
There's not, well, it may be 3, but if you look at, I thought you would go on to the New Zealand companies. I don't think they're not making that money. See, the American companies, they're like Apple. Apple is the richest, I reckon. They're not talking about billions, they're talking about trillions. I've seen in the paper. And the other one is now the richest man. What's his name again? With the electric cars and the rockets up to. What's his name again? He was in.
Elon Musk.
Yeah. He was also in Time magazine. Yeah. But he's well, okay. But they said about him, he doesn't got his lifestyle is very simple. He doesn't like boats and expensive cars, and that was in Time magazine. He's only concentrated on his business. That is his. He doesn't care about expensive holidays or nothing.
Yeah, I've heard.
Well, that's what.
He wants to go to Mars.
Well, yeah.
That's where he wants to go.
Yeah. But here.
Will the Bible?
Yeah.
Will the Bible tell us how to go to Mars?
Yeah.
That's the question.
It's Luke 17, 28.
You find it, and I'll try sort out the video.
Yeah. I got it now. Yeah.
All right, let's see if this video works now.
Yeah.
All right, you found it. Let's go.
Yeah, did you? Yeah. It says here, just as it was in the days of Noah, so also will it be in the days of the Son of Man. People were eating, drinking, marrying, and be given in marriage up to the day Noah entered the ark. Then the flood came and destroyed them all. It was the same in the days of Lot. People were eating, drinking, buying and selling, planting and building. But the day Lot left Sodom, fire and sulfur rained down from heaven and destroyed them all. Yeah. And it will be just like this on the day the Son of Man is revealed. On that day, no one who is on the roof of his house with his goods inside should go down to get them. Likewise, no one in the field should go back for anything. Remember Lot's wife? Whoever tries to keep his life will lose it. And whoever loses his life will preserve it. What do you think about that?
It's
Yeah?
well, it's talking about a big flood.
Yeah, first the big flood for Noah, and then later on from Sodom and Gomorrah. Fire and brimstone came from heaven. Nah.
Well, that could be a meteor shower or asteroid impact.
Yeah, and then, but the last time they had that, and I remember the time they showed it was on the TV, that those, and I could not believe it seeing either, that the hailstones, and they show you all the cars. I think it was Sydney.
It was Melbourne.
Eh?
It was Melbourne.
I was in Melbourne.
Yeah, I remember it was Melbourne.
They rained down on the city. And I tell him, mate, it's not good to stand outside with if those things coming down on you.
Well, I think
And
I-
that
I-
is...
I think a lot of things in the Bible, they're trying to explain. They could be trying to explain. I'm not sure if this is a fact. This is just things that I've heard from people that are smarter than me.
Yeah.
But they're potentially trying to explain things that happen on the earth, like cycles.
Yeah.
There could be a big flood every 20,000 years. We don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
There could be a big volcanic eruption every 100,000 years.
Yeah.
These things happen.
Yeah.
We're only alive for 80, 100 years.
No.
It's very difficult to pass on. Say if you're Noah and you've been in a big flood, right?
Mm.
How do you pass that on?
Yeah, but Noah was told by the Lord to build the ark. And he was the only righteous person, and that the Lord gave the order, or told him, that a big flood would come over. And he believed the Lord, and he started building the ark. You know, everybody was laughing on him, that you built an ark just right in dry land where there was no water. But, you know, that was already prophesied.
Yeah, but
And that's the same with Sodom and Gomorrah, the same thing. They prophesied. Lot was the only righteous person in that city. And he told Lot to get out. And he went out. And then his wife turned around and looked down, and then she became in a salt pillar. You know what that is? She was thinking about the good life in the city according to her.
Sure.
But that was so much sin was
could
there.
it be a prophecy of look, I'm not saying that what you've read in the Bible, it's definitely a prophecy of some sort, right?
No, that has already been happened.
Yeah, it happened, but
That is history.
sure,
Yeah,
it's history in a poetic form.
yeah.
It's not in a literal form.
It's the history according that is a true sense, yeah.
Because have you heard of there's a cycle of the earth. It's called the Younger Dryas, also called the Younger Dryas Stadial. Cool period between roughly 12,900 and 11,600 years ago that disrupted the prevailing warming trend occurring in the northern hemisphere at the end of the Pleistocene epoch, which lasted from 2.6 million years to 11,000 years ago. The current theory is that the Younger Dryas was caused by significant reduction or shutdown of the North Atlantic conveyor, which circulates warm tropical waters northward in response to a sudden influx of fresh water from Lake Agassiz and the Glaciatron in North America. Was the Younger Dryas triggered by a flood? There's just so many things that happen in nature as well that could be part of this.
That is right. You're right there, but you have to remember here there's people where the people were warned.
The question is, you said that the Lord told Noah to build the ark.
Well, he told Noah to build the ark because a flood will come over. Yeah.
But who, did he meet the Lord in person?
No,
or
listen.
was it?
There's the communication with the Lord that usually goes in your dream. Nebuchadnezzar also, and there are quite a few people in the Bible. First of all, you had an, an proper believer in the Lord, and then, and if you be really, well, try to do everything about that you stay with the 10 Commandments, whatever, and if there's anything happen, or if anything would happen, then he give you a dream. He give a dream for Nebuchadnezzar. What would happen? And it did happen. And Daniel explained the dream. Because nobody else of his... Nebuchadnezzar was one of the most powerful that time on earth.
Was it a man?
Yeah, he was a king.
Okay.
Yeah. He was, that was the Babylonian kingdom. And the Babylonian kingdom was one of the strongest that had meters of walls around, maybe a meter thick. And he called his, you have to read that in Daniel. He called, I can pick it up at the Bible.
Look it up and I'll go toilet while you look
Yeah. Yeah. Daniel interpreted, Let's say he had a dream. I can go a little bit further. I can, see Nebuchadnezzar's dream.
Can I read it?
You can read it.
Yeah, can I read it?
Yeah, you read it. Yeah. You don't have to.
Where do I read it? Okay.
Right up through, and then you'll see that Daniel.
Nebuchadnezzar's dream of a tree. King Nebuchadnezzar, to the peoples, nations, and men of every language who live in all the world, may you prosper greatly. It is my pleasure to tell you about the miraculous signs and wonders that the Most High God has performed for me. How great are his signs, how mighty his wonders. His kingdom is an eternal kingdom. His dominion endures from generation to generation. Nebuchadnezzar was at home in my palace, contented and prosperous. I had a dream that made me afraid. As I was lying in my bed, the image and visions that passed through my mind terrified me. So I commanded that all the wise men of Babylon be brought before me to interpret the dream for me. When the magicians, enchanters, astrologers, and diviners came, I told them the dream, but they could not interpret it for me. Finally, Daniel came into my presence, and I told him the dream. He is called Belteshazzar, after the name of my God, and the spirit of the holy gods is in him. I said, Belteshazzar, chief of the magicians, I know that the spirit of my holy gods is in you, and no mystery is too difficult for you. Here is my dream, interpret it for me. These are the visions I saw while lying in my bed. I looked, and there before me stood a tree in the middle of the land. Its height was enormous. The tree grew large and strong, and its top touched the sky. It was visible to the ends of the earth. Its leaves were beautiful, its fruit abundant, and on it was food for all. Under it the beasts of the fields found shelter, and the birds of the air lived in its branches. From it every creature was fed. In the visions I saw while lying in my bed, I looked, and there before me was a messenger, a holy one coming down from heaven. He called in a loud voice, cut down the tree and trim off its branches, strip off its leaves and scatter its fruit. Let the animals flee from under it and the birds from its branches, but let the stump and its roots, bound with iron and bronze, remain in the ground, in the grass of the field. Let him be drenched with the dew of heaven, and let him live with the animals among the plants of the earth. Let his mind be changed from that of a man, and let him be given the mind of an animal, till 7 times pass by for him. The decision is announced by messengers. The holy ones declare the verdict, so that the living may know that the Most High is sovereign over the kingdoms of men, and gives them to anyone he wishes, and sets over to them the lowliest of men. This is the dream that I, King Nebuchadnezzar, had. Now, Belteshazzar, tell me what it means, for none of the wise men in my kingdom can interpret it for me, but you can, because the spirit of the holy gods is in you. So he's telling him to cut down the tree to make the ark.
Yeah, but also there was...
You got to carry on then, right?
Yeah, then he also get a dream that he, from the future. That's, we can go...
Well, let's. I wanna hear it from you.
But listen, the thing is, you got the Bible, and if you got time, sometimes you look into it.
Sure, but if I have time, sure. But what I want to ask is, I understand your perspective a bit more now. When reading these, I don't disagree with everything. Most of what you've read, I agree with it. The things that I don't completely agree with, a lot of this, the way it's written is very poetic. It's very, like when you told me, and we didn't read that, but when you told me that the Lord told Noah to build the ark, came in a dream. Possible. I'm not saying it didn't happen. I don't know. Did God make the flood, or is a flood the cycle of the earth? Something that happens in the earth? We don't know, Dad.
He can rain those on Melbourne, those hailstones down from a belly.
Yeah, we don't know.
Like a tennis ball.
I mean, you look at 100 million or 350 million years ago, an asteroids killed the dinosaurs. Could that happen today?
Well, today...
Could John have a dream about asteroids and start building a boat?
Yeah.
We don't know, Dad.
No, but you have to look at the dream. That only comes to people. They, first of all, King Nebuchadnezzar was a very powerful man. But he needed Daniel. Daniel was the one. They knew that he was a man of the Lord. He believed in the Lord. He was a real believer. And he was the one that the Lord explained Daniel the dream.
Sure.
Now,
so I want to know your position, because we can keep on reading this all day. But what I want to know is, from what you told me before, you're very pessimistic about how things are going in the world.
Say that again?
You're very pessimistic.
In what way?
You're not an optimist about what's happening.
No, well, listen, to me, I read it doesn't have to be pessimistic. But it says in Matthew, and it's in Revelation 2, and then the programs I've been seeing, that we living, some reckon, I think it's 2 minutes or 1 minute before midnight, and now, you look at the political situation today, you have to remember, all the time in history, mankind did not have the weapons to annihilate themselves, but they got now. We know that. There's so many countries, they got the atomic, and then there is another name for a bomb that is even much stronger. Now, with the trouble with Russia at the moment, you can see, but it says also in Matthew, you will hear rumors of war. Now, but they reckon it's pretty close, that the Russians are going to invade that. That was on the news, on the, I was listened to Al Jazeera for world news.
Sure. So what's your perspective on what's? I mean,
Well, listen, we are
we're in a bad time.
in the last days, and you're probably, the thing about that, you're probably quite happy to be here at the moment in New Zealand. If you'll be in France is also a member of NATO. And France will be involved. If that happens, they will be involved in that war. Believe me. And at first start maybe slow down. The same as in 1939, that Adolf Hitler marched first in, what was it? In Poland, yeah. He started with Poland. And then in 1940, he marched in the Netherlands and Norway too, and Denmark. And then he walked into France and he conquered them all. Because nobody could stop him that time. And then he wanted to go in Britain, but that did not work out. But then he went to he walked in Greece too. Greece, Eastern Europe. That was whole Europe was under control of the Germans that time. And then he started getting into Russia. And he conquered Russia too, right up. Till, and that is other time, see. Then to me, see, the Lord came in, and I tell you how. That many times predicted too. That suddenly, it was so cold in the winter, in that before they won every battle, the Germans. They walked over it. And then they came before Moscow. I don't know if you know that.
Yeah, I heard
And then
the story.
The weather suddenly became so cold, they were talking about 50 degrees below zero. And that destroyed the batteries in the tanks of the Germans. They were freezing up.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, and that stopped the whole lot. But it was not the Russians, not the Russians didn't have the war material to stop them. But it stopped by the weather. Yeah, it was finished. And then later on, there was one thing, I don't know if you know what's happened then with Russia. See, Russia at the time, they didn't expect the Germans to walk in because Stalin made a contract that was all political with Adolf Hitler that he would not invade Russia. There was a contract made. You know that?
No.
Well, I'll tell you now. There was a thing. But what's happened actually, that because of that actually all the arms and the tanks and the whole Russian army, most of the Russian army, were standing on the border by Japan. Because the Japanese, that time, they were also more or less they were also ready to start invading. They already that time invaded Korea, whole Korea, the Japs. But at that time, they were also on making trouble on the Russian border. And that's why was that Stalin, that time, the Russian dictator, had all his war material, tanks and everything, was all on Murmansk, all on the Japanese border. Well, that's a hell of a distance. But then after that, of course, with the cold, and that the Germans were hauled up. But that time he saw the possibility to get all that stuff from where on the Japanese border. He got it all back. That was in Siberia. He got it all back to Moscow. And that was the time. Then the next year was totally different. The Germans lost, I was told, about 2 million soldiers, but the cold. Not for the weather, not for the shooting, for the cold.
Just the cold.
Because they did not have the clothing, although they had clothing for winter, but not to stand that.
So
that to me was that the Lord stepped in, and it's not the only time he stepped in. There was also, if you read in the time that the Germans were just about going to Britain, they wanted to invade Britain after France. And you have to read it, and by that time, they halfway stopped for some reason, I can't remember. By that time, the sea was very rough in the canal, because they had to get over in boats. And they had the boats all ready to go over to Britain and land there and start taking Britain. The thing is that Germany had all the equipment, and the other countries that they were not prepared for war. Oh, let me put it that way.
Yeah, well, could have been the Lord, we don't know.
But
could have been.
No, but there was another thing coming.
Could have been a lot of explanations.
No. First of all, the canal, there was so rough as anything, but there was also a lot of those British army and part of the French army, part of the Dutch was fighting there too. They were all singled, they were cut off by the German army, and there was only one way out, to get over the canal to Britain. And by the time you should read that in the papers, you will see it in the...
Is that the Battle of Normandy?
Eh? Yeah.
No,
not the Battle of Normandy. It was in 44, the time they came back. But that was the time...
They left.
The battle for France, that was in 1940.
All right, so I want to know your...
And how that was suddenly got in British favor was suddenly unbelievable. That is historical. That the canal was suddenly like a lake. And then the British and the France and all the other soldiers, they were able, there was a lot of British people with homemade little yachts, and they all came there and picked up the soldiers and to get them back to England.
I saw that in a movie.
The whole army managed to get to Britain because suddenly the weather that was never happened was like a lake.
I saw that in a movie.
Oh, did you?
They made a movie about it.
Yes?
Yeah, I saw it.
Now, I'm just telling you that now. Now, how is that possible?
It could just be, there's a lot of explanations there. I'm not saying it's not the Lord. It could be, I don't know. But it could be just a miraculous timing of nature. It could be.
First of all, he stopped the Germans. He stopped the Germans in France, certainly, that all the armies could escape. And then suddenly in 1931, that the Germans were standing for Moscow. They were
31 or 41?
That was 41.
41.
They were standing in front of Moscow on the door, and suddenly the batteries frozen in the tanks, and they were finished. They couldn't move.
So how do you think the Lord is going to help us? To me, how is he going to help us now with what's happening in the world now?
You have to wait. what he's doing.
Well, let's wait and see then. Well, look, I think, I have a better understanding of your perspective. I don't agree with everything, but I agree
You
with...
don't have to agree with anything if you want to.
I agree.
But you have to look what's happening.
Yeah, I am.
You have to, one day you have to read where the Germans, after they went over Russia, unbelievable. Nobody could stop them. The Russians, they had some soldiers, had some fighting, but nothing what could stop the German army. And then for Moscow, and for Leningrad that time, that is now, and suddenly they stopped. I couldn't further because the winter, suddenly the cold came in, and it was never been cold that much before Moscow. It was just, I think it was minus 50 degrees. The batteries, it says, I mean, reading the thing, the batteries were frozen, and that means they couldn't start any car up, they couldn't start any tank up, it was all finished. Yeah. Yeah. And,
it's interesting.
And that is, and is that something, that time, the Lord did not want Germany to win the war. They were stopped.
Could have been. Could have been.
Yeah. Well, to me,
we'll see what happens now in the world of what's happening now. But let's finish on a positive note, I guess.
Yeah.
After all our conversations and everything, and and not just our conversations, but just throughout life, how do you think of me as a person as I've grown up?
No, but listen, I'll be so happy that you'll be my best son. That really, and I was working hard from the time, and all the fight I have with your mom, that wasn't funny. You know that.
Yeah, but I know about that. But how do you think about me as a person?
Well, you're a great person.
Like when I think about you as a father, I think that you've done everything you can with your knowledge and your resources to do the best for me as you could.
I did.
And I appreciate that.
Yeah.
And you try to be as honest as you can be with the best of your knowledge.
As a matter of fact, I did it for John and Pete too.
No, I'm sure you did.
Yeah. Well, that's the only thing I could do. And I was very upset the time I told you that. She was pregnant the second time. And then she go for an abortion. I wasn't, well, you know your mom, what she got in her head, you can. I said, you sure? I tried to talk her out of it. But, she,
Oh, well, it is what it is.
Yeah,
it happened.
Nothing I can do about it.
End of the world's coming soon. We're all going to die.
Well, it's, your mom is only interested in money. But I know she, last time, I tell you that now, she is got a property up north and apparently trying to buy another one.
Yeah, I heard
believe
about
it is. And on top of that, she wants to, she showed me one of her saving books or one of the things, and she had $28,000 on that book. She showed me that. So here we are. Keep her a little bit on your side. That at least you get a little bit of it.
We'll see what happens, Dad.
Yeah.
We'll see what
I
happens.
just let you know.
Yeah. You told me
it's
before.
Good. It's good that you know that.
Yeah. Well.
And another thing
if
is,
she behaves,
she is so keen on the girls. You know, you can see that. Well, I will see that funny. Dus that is the only thing you can. Well, if she wants to see the girls, she had to be nice to you.
Yeah, she does.
Yeah, that's the main thing.
It's a weird relationship, but we'll see where it goes.
Yeah. Dus, but here again, even if that, you can't, listen, I had so many trouble with other, but if you can't forgive, you can't live. I told you that.
Yeah.
That's in here too, man. And I think that is right. Yeah. I'll leave the Bible for you that you can
Sure.
read
Shall we
that.
leave it at that then? If you can't forgive, you can't live.
Nah, exactly. You have to forgive, otherwise there's so many people doing wrong things too, and you might be wrong things to other people too. You know what I mean? And you have to.
Well, everyone makes mistakes and everyone does wrongs. You just have to. If you make a mistake, you gotta take accountability.
Yeah.
But
look at John. It's a lot of people that told me now, I will never stand by him, but all the time if he was in trouble, and I kept on helping him. You know.
Oh,
even
you're very helpful and you're very kind, and sometimes it works for you and sometimes it works against you.
Yeah, well, but I hope that he's now, I told him now again, and well, so far everything goes right, and now he got another daughter on the way, and he managed to find himself in place, thank God for that. Because I really want to get rid of him, you know, on my place. As he makes you seen in the guards, everything is his, mate. I can't do anything anymore. Everything is, even in my garden, it's all letters and things. And then all the clothing that's been given and things for the baby. It all came from Matua.
Well,
you know Matua, do you?
I've heard about her, but I don't know her. If it gives you more peace, then I'm happy for you. I'll support you for whatever makes you. If it makes you more peaceful and it's a positive thing for you, then I'll support you.
Yeah, but that's a positive for me. That he eventually, I didn't throw him. I didn't tell him. I didn't want to do that, but I always told him. I said, "Listen, mate, you can't stay here. You have to move out now." Because she is also, well, she's quite a nice person in one way, but I can't see, I got my ways in the kitchen too, and the things how she stacked the fridge up, and she got a habit, eat in half a can of fish and the other half in the fridge and things like that, and I don't like that, you know. It's, although I did, sometimes I tell her that too. And she even bananas. She's funny. Then she eats in half a banana and the other half. Well, that is not my way. I want it. Let me put it that way.
Yeah.
If she is on her own, she can do what she likes with John. That's her problem.
Oh well, at least you'll have the place to yourself and you can do what you want.
Exactly.
Is there anything else you want to talk about or you want to say to finish off the conversation?
Nah, not really. It's. Thank you very much. I think
it was an interesting conversation.
I think it was a good conversation, and you learned from it, and I learned from it.
Yeah, I understand your perspective more now.
Yeah, but it is not really my perspective. It's mine study.
Sure, I think a better way to put it is your belief in what you've been studying.
Yeah.
Your belief of that.
Well, listen, there's another thing about the Bible. There are so many Bibles. The Bible is over the whole world, I've been told. Everywhere. In every country and in every language. Even in communist countries, the Bible is being floated in there just under...
Somehow, yeah.
Yeah, somehow, although maybe prohibited lecture, maybe, but people, they've been trying and they've been putting it in. Yeah. You know that the South Koreans, they put, I don't know if you heard it, they take balloons and they put all things about what's happened there, you know, because it's North Korea, that is an absolute dictatorship. Oh, you know that.
Yeah, it's crazy.
People can't do anything at all, you know. And they got, apparently there is also a big shortage of food too. All he does is spend all the money on rockets but he doesn't spend any money on the food for the people.
Yeah, it's crazy. I heard an interview from a lady who escaped. It's totally fucked up.
Yeah, and of course, because he does that, and what other countries doing, they stop trading with him.
Yeah, there's sanctions.
Yeah, sanctions. Yeah, it's the same with Iran too. With the they're working on the atomic bomb, and they sanction, and there's quite a few other countries that be under sanctions, and dus they cannot. If you cannot trade, and you can't.
Well, you can't prosper in the world.
No, because you need what you can export, and then things you need to have import. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean. Trade is very important.
Trade is very important for the people.
It's probably the most important thing.
Yeah,
if you control the trade, you control the world.
Yeah.
In a sense.
Well, that is the state. Apparently, the United States is more or less. They also control the world money and the World Bank. You know. Dus, well. And that's what it's all about. But just read a little bit more out of it.
Yeah, I've read. I remember when I was younger, I read Proverbs and Psalms.
Yeah, Proverbs. Yeah.
Proverbs and Psalms. I read both of those books.
Yeah.
And I read Genesis. It's interesting. It's been years, but I know it's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
All right, should we leave it there?
Okay, mate.
Yeah. Thanks. I really appreciate it.
No. Good talking to you.
Yeah.
And it's always good to be together again for a while.
Yeah. No, it really helped me understand your perspective because I think when you say a lot of things and we don't have time to explain it, and I don't fully understand what your perspective is.
Yeah.
You know? So no, it's good. Ooh. I enjoyed it. Yeah, we better.
I can hear we
better get out of here.
Soldiers now.
All right. Thanks, Ed.